All right, there we go. So good evening, Blue Jay families. Thank you for joining us for the Hop on Board webinar series. My name is John Fox, and I serve as a project manager in student transitions and family engagement. My work supports families of Hopkins students, including communication programs and services. So when you're interfacing or hearing from us on the portal or sending to Blue Jay families at jhu.edu, you are talking to me. So nice to meet you. Tonight, we welcome all of our new Blue Jay families to the Johns Hopkins family. Our webinar tonight is to help you get acclimated with Hopkins and answer your questions as you get ready to send your student to campus. A couple things I want to let you know about the webinar is that all of the webinars in this series are recorded, and the recording will be posted on our website by the close of business on Friday. We will also have a link for the slide deck, so anything that you want to go back to or don't have time to capture, you will be able to go back to that. The purpose of the webinar is to provide you insight about what it means to be on campus. And we are joined by a number of campus partners tonight who will be talking about areas of interest to you. Before I get to introducing them, the last housekeeping things are there's a Q&A function at the bottom of your webinar screen. You are welcome to post questions in there throughout the entire webinar. We'll do our best to answer your questions either in the moment or once we get to the Q&A at the end of the presentation. If you're unable to get all of your answers tonight, we will also share with you contact information for you to reach out to us in the future. All right, so at this time, I would like to just ask for our presenters to introduce themselves, and then we will get started. I'm going to pass it to Lindy Bobbitt first.
Hey everyone, my name is Lindy Bobbitt. I am the Director of Residential Experience, and which means that I work with housing. So I know there's lots of questions about housing, and move-in day is all about housing. So I am looking forward to speaking with you tonight about that process. And I will pass it off to Lee.
Thank you, Lindy. My name is Lee Coyle. I'm the Senior Director of Planning and Architecture for Johns Hopkins University. And tonight I'm going to let you know a little about some of the construction projects that are on our campus, specifically ones that are near the freshman quad. So I look forward to sharing that information with you and happy to take any questions. I'll pass it to Emily.
Hi, I'm Emily, and I'm one of the students this year working to plan orientation and PRIO, so I'm part of the core team.
All right, great. Thank you so much. So with that, I'd like to start off. I'm going to share with you a brief video that gives you a sense of the move-in experience from our last move-in, which was fall of 2024. So this is rather short. All right, so if that doesn't get you excited, I don't know what will. So we're we really wanted to paint the experience of what it's like to move in. We know some of you may have done a move-in of a student on a college campus before. For some of you, this may be brand new. And so we want to just first start and talk about what do we want you to experience when you're here? Because you may have a lot of logistics and concerns and things in your head, but our hope is that this is a really fun, exciting experience for both you and your student. So a couple things. Obviously, there's a lot going on when you're moving, just in the regular world, but moving on a college campus, figuring out where to park, getting all of your belongings unloaded, getting moved into a res hall, all of that. There's a lot to do, right? And really, the team here, we're about creating structure that helps you to do that as efficiently as possible. We want you to feel prepared and informed. So as you're getting communications, particularly from my office, as well as from Lindy's office about expectations, what you need to do, those things are coming to your student. And, you know, please ask them about what they're receiving. You can review them together. It gives you a chance to understand what information is being shared. We'd like you to be excited. This is an exciting chapter for your students starting their college experience. And so we want you to feel like we've given you every opportunity to start off on the right foot. And then lastly, we want to instill a sense of confidence. You know, you are the folks on the screen here. We are doing this work because we really enjoy working with college students. We believe in the college experience, and we want you to feel confident about dropping your student off at Hopkins and having a good experience with people who care. All right. Okay, so a couple goals. One is strategies to prepare yourself and your student. Secondly, steps for the move-in process, about logistically how you do that. From my area, family engagement, how I want to engage with you and your family while you're here. And then also highlights to expect after move-in, things that will happen after your students moved in, after you leave campus. All right, so we know this is a new chapter. And again, some of you have maybe done this before. Some of you, it may be your first student going to college. So it's a transition not only for your student, but for you as an individual and all of you as a family. So a couple things, if you don't look at the parent portal often, I encourage you to do that. There's some great articles that are coming out that give recommendations about things to do to support your student in their transition. And then also for you, how do you find support as you allow them greater independence, allow them to have their experience here. So for your student, a couple things that you can be talking to them about. One is about, even though you're becoming more independent as they leave for college, they can still ask for help. And we're going to give them a lot of resources that allow them to do that. Secondly, gaining skills. I remember going to college and needing to learn how to do laundry and do basic, meal prep when needed and those kinds of things. So, talking to your student about things they may need to do, balancing their checkbook, all that kind of stuff. And then lastly, you can talk with them about how to problem solve, right? Like if they are coming and they, lose something that's important to them, or they need to figure out how to get from one location to another and they don't have a vehicle, talking through how they maybe problem solve some of those things. And then for you, because you're a part of this equation, a couple of tips are that as you come for move-in day, emotions are okay. We know that's going to happen. I know you don't need our permission, but want to say we know that it's a big deal, and we're aware and want to support you in that. No last supper. That's mainly because from the moment your student gets here and you get them moved in, their orientation starts that very afternoon. And so they will be busy, they will be engaging from the moment they get here. So if you're hoping to have that final dinner, I don't mean to be disappointing, but you probably won't have much time for that. Next, think about how you want to say farewell. It doesn't have to be a goodbye or feel like it's forever, but think about how you want to do that. And generally, they recommend being as brief as possible, helps you and your student. And lastly, what are you going to do for yourself after you return home? How are you going to take care of yourself knowing that you're going through that transition? And there's a QR code on a link that's on the portal for an article that I think would be useful to you. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Lindy.
All right, so the big day. So I'm going to talk a little bit about move-in day and the process. And I will name that we have several move-in days that happen before August 17th when the majority of our first-year students arrive. So this is specifically for August 17th. I know there's already some questions in the chat about PRIO and different things. I will be answering those either live at the end or I'll be typing them throughout the presentation. But just know that this is specifically for the 17th, and I will make mention for things that also are for PRIO as well. Some of the resources. So we have a couple QR codes that are just kind of linked to kind of resources, facts about move-in day. So if you want to take a scan of that QR code, we're going to go on to the next slide. Okay, so before you arrive, so your student has received an email about move-in time. So your student has their room assignment that went out in early July. And about a week and a half ago, email went out about move-in times. We need students to sign up for their move-in times. We are trying to move a lot of students into a very few areas in a pretty short amount of time. And so our move-in times are really important. Many students have already selected their move-in times, but they have until Friday at 3 p.m. to do that. Once a student selects their move-in time, they will receive an email on Monday that has information confirming their move-in time, an attachment with some information about a lot of the information that's in these slides, but kind of what that process is going to look like. And there's also going to be a QR code in that email that students need to have available on their phone when they arrive to campus. That QR code we're going to talk about in a little bit. Actually, it's the next thing, the health requirements. That QR code is a quick way for us to know if students need to take care of anything before we give them their keys. So there are some health requirements that need to be taken care of. And we have a Title IX and Title VI training that has to be completed before we allow students to move in. Most students have probably already done that, but this QR code is our kind of quick glance that we can move students through the process as quickly as possible. But back to move-in time. So students will receive an email on Monday with their confirmed move-in time. If if students don't sign up for a move-in time before Monday, we will be assigning them one. So this is your chance to check in with your student to say, you've received several emails. Have you signed up for your move-in time? We do ask that you abide by your move-in time. Again, we have lots of resources and things in place, and part of what makes the day go smoothly is people sticking to that time. We know that you're excited and eager to get to campus, and we want to make sure that we can offer you move-in help and supports that we can help the process be as smooth as possible. Microfridge rentals. So today is actually the last day for microfridge rentals. Students are able to bring a microwave or refrigerator to their room, but we recommend using our microfridge rental program. This is a combo of a microwave, refrigerator, and freezer that is delivered to your room. So you don't have to worry about stairs. You don't have to worry about elevators. It is delivered to your room. So today is the deadline. You could probably still sign up. The deadline today means that the refrigerator will be in your room by move-in day on the 17th. If you sign up for a microfridge after today, that's totally fine. Just know that it might not be available. It might not be in the room on the day of move-in. We know that a lot of people are traveling from lots of places. So if you have things that you want to ship in advance, that's totally fine. We just ask that things not arrive until August 12th. So we are in the middle of our conference season. And we're in the middle of a flip right now. And so things that arrive on or after August 12th, we will store for your students, and the post offices will be open on move-in day. And then these last two QR codes are just a list of kind of what to pack and what not to pack. We know that this is kind of, this is a big transition. This is a big experience. And sometimes we pack either more than we need, or we pack things that maybe we would prefer not to have on campus. And so these are some quick links so that you just kind of know, please don't bring these things. The big one this year are the electronic scooter batteries. Those cannot be stored in the residence halls. So if your student was thinking they were going to zip around campus on one of those, just know that they are not permitted in the residence halls at this time. Okay, perfect. So when you arrive to campus on August 17th, you are going to arrive at Mason Hall. If you type in Johns Hopkins South Garage, that's going to take you to the exact point that you need to go. You're going to park in Mason Hall, and that is also where your student is going to pick up their key. So GPS keyword, Johns Hopkins South Garage is going to take you right to the location that you need to be. For students that might be arriving by rideshare, you can also put the same information, or you can just put Mason Hall and it will take you right up to that same area. So Mason Hall or Johns Hopkins South Garage if you're taking a rideshare. If you are arriving by car, the South Garage is going to be what you want to put into your GPS. After you park in the South Garage, it is time for student key pickup. So we have all of our pickups in one area at Mason Hall. We have students and families go through that process, and then you will drive to your residence hall or your student's residence hall. So we ask that students go into Mason Hall on their own. We know this is kind of the first of maybe some tough moments in the day where we're saying it's time for your student to go pick up their key. It gets very, very crowded. And so we are going to send your students into Mason Hall on their own with the QR code on their phone, or print it out if that is easier. And they're going to check in, they're going to take care of any holds that might be on their account, and they are going to pick up their key. While they are in that, we have a tent right outside with coffee and kind of, swag, freebies, little things for you to kind of engage in while your student is inside. There will be resources, people to talk to. We know that you have a lot of questions and it's the start of a long and busy day, so please utilize that resource. Caffeinate yourself because it's a very exciting time. And then your students are going to come right back out and meet you after they pick up their key, and you are going to head to your residence hall. So this slide is mostly on here because we are giving you access to these slides afterwards. Please do not feel like you need to quickly write everything down or take a screenshot. You are going to have access to it. But these are directions to the AMRs and to Woolman McCoy. You will also have this information available to you on move-in day. But we know that like as you prepare, right, different nerves come up. And sometimes that thing is like, well, how do I get from point A to point B? So we have this available for you to kind of ease that worry that this is how you're going to get from point A to B, but we're also going to have this information available to you on move-in day. Okay, so after you pick up the keys at Mason Hall and you drive to your residence hall, this is going to be kind of what it looks like when you pull up to the residence hall. We have lots of support, lots of help. And John, you can go to the next slide. It is the best kind of chaos. So the biggest thing to look for is that we have lots of help for you. So our goal on move-in day is to keep things moving and make it quick. So we have movers that will help unload your car and take things to your student's room. It is, we kind of call it like cruise ship style, where it's like you're going to pull up, we're going to open your trunk, and we are going to just start putting things into bins and getting in elevator lines. We have a moving service on August 17th to make this process quick because we want to get cars out of that loading area so that you can really focus on getting your students' room set up, making it feel like home, right? We know that this is a big deal. And, this is not just a big deal for your students. This is a big deal for you. You are the families that have, raised these students. And so we want to make sure that as much as possible, you get to spend time in your student's room, making it feel like home. We don't want you spending your day sitting in line. So know that when you pull up to your student's residence hall, the movers are going to kind of take over because our goal is to get your stuff into that room as quickly as possible. And once that car is empty, we need you to move it. So there are lots of people moving in throughout the day. And so the South Garage is available. And that might be the best location, but there is also plenty of city parking. So it's your call where you park. But we will ask you to move your car so that we can get the next family unloaded. And again, I said this before, remember this is your move-in day too. So we want to make sure that you feel supported, that you feel like your questions are being answered, because we know that at the end of the day, your students are going to be kind of handed over to us and we're going to start their orientation program and you're going to leave campus. And so we want to make sure that you leave campus feeling good about the day and knowing that your student is settled and going to have a great orientation week. And I believe I'm passing it back off to John.
Yes, thank you so much, Lindy. Thanks for that description. Family, so once your student is settled, we'll start getting to questions after we finish our presentation. But after your student gets settled in their residence hall, I'm going to invite you to come to Freshman Quad, which on the map, you'll see it most adjacent to the AMR buildings, but is also very accessible from Woolman and McCoy as well, regardless of where you're moving in. We'll have a number of things for you on that quad. So as Lindy talked about, you arrive at Mason, there'll be some general information, some volunteers there who will greet you, answer some of your questions, and then we will send you on your way to the res hall. Once you get settled enough, I'm going to invite you to come out to Freshman Quad. And a couple things that we have there for you. One, I have two things I really want you to get. One is a family welcome bag, which has information and some giveaways that I want each of you to walk away with. And secondly, we want to provide you a free lunch on that day. And so I have a meal ticket for you and everyone in your party to go eat with your student at one of our two dining locations on that day. In addition, on Freshman Quad, we'll have a number of other things here. We will have some food and beverages. We will have our mascot will be out there and available for photos, selfies, whatever you'd like to do. We will have some pixelated stations where you can take a photo with your student with some different backgrounds commemorating the 150th class and Johns Hopkins in general. And then we will also have a station you see on the lower right of the screen, you see that little mailbox. You have an opportunity to write a short postcard to your student that we will deliver to them after you have already left. And so you can say any message that you want to say to them or remind them of how much pride you have in them and confidence. Okay, and then as we close out the day, and I included kind of the 2 dates. So as Lindy talked about, there's really 2 primary move-in days. The students who are participating in pre-orientation programs are moving in on the 13th, and all the other students are moving in on the 17th. So on each day, we have what's called a family orientation session. On the 13th, it's at 4:30 that afternoon, and on the 17th, it's at 6:30 p.m. At that session, we will have some campus representatives, including folks like Lindy and some services on campus that you may have the most questions about or have want to hear from. And so that will be an hour-long session. We'll have a brief panel from folks in that group. And most of the time, though, will be spent on Q&A. So you'll be able to ask us questions and we will answer those for you. And that will be happening live and in person in the Schreiber Hall auditorium. So we're excited to see you then. It's not required for you, but we would love to have you come out and spend that time with us. Okay, so lastly, I want to talk a little bit about, so you've moved in, orientation has started for your student. What then? So as orientation starts, a few things that I want to just review with you, and then Lee Coyle, who is one of our panelists, will talk a little bit about what campus projects look like for fall semester. So for orientation, really quick, a couple things I just want you to be aware of that your student likely already knows. One is that they're required to participate in orientation. It sets them up for success, helps them to really integrate, and really starts their academic journey from the time they land on campus. It's going to begin with a floor meeting for them. So the same time that you are going to family orientation, they will be going to a meeting with their resident assistant, meeting each other, and then starting the orientation program for the remainder of that evening. A couple things of why they're in orientation. We're really trying to build community, help them build community with one another, with campus, with Johns Hopkins community, and then also with Baltimore, the Baltimore community. We're also helping students understand their rights as a student, as well as their responsibilities as being a community member here on campus. And then lastly, we're preparing them to utilize the many resources available to them. And so they will get a lot of information, and we will strive to set them up for success with that. And then lastly, as I I think I previously mentioned that they're going to be very busy. So if you're staying in town for a while, we welcome you being in Baltimore, but just be aware that they're going to have very limited time to connect or spend time with the family. Okay, with that being said, I'd like to invite my colleague Lee Coyle to share with you some exciting projects that are happening on campus this fall.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it. So we go to the next slide. Just quickly, because all of you and your students are new to Johns Hopkins University, just want to share with you the campus map. We have 144 acres on the Homewood campus. And when you get here, you're going to notice a lot of construction projects. We're not going to go through all that today. Yes, it is an inconvenience, but keep in mind, it's also the sign of a thriving, growing university, which Johns Hopkins University certainly is. So please be patient with us. Today, we want to talk about a couple projects that will be affecting the freshman quad. If you look on this map, you can recognize the beach, Charles Street, which is the main thoroughfare that goes through the campus, and then another area up there circled in red, the O'Connor Rec Center. So we're going to focus on those today. Next. So the first is what we call the steam line replacement. This is on the freshman quad. This project is basically to replace aging infrastructure, in some cases that's been here for over 100 years, and provide new infrastructure that supports our long-term sustainability goals. We're replacing old-time steam lines with hot water lines that require less energy to heat our buildings. And that is one of the things that we'll be doing as an enabling project for an exciting new project that's going to start in the summer of 2026, okay, after your students have completed their first year at Johns Hopkins University. We're actually replacing AMR 1, a building that was built in 1923, with a brand new AMR that will have twice as many beds and a new dining hall facing Charles Street. These are pictures, images, or renderings of that new building that will be coming. Next. The work, no question, construction work can be noisy. We're going to minimize that and the impact on your students as much as possible. We are going to limit the hours of construction for these enabling projects to 8 hours a day. We won't start until 9 a.m. and we will stop at 5 p.m. when students are most likely back to be in their residence halls. Next. These little maps show a blow up of the freshman quad. The area that's in kind of the peach color with the dotted lines represents the area that will be fenced off for safety reasons, obviously. Those little yellow lines are barriers to prevent people from walking into those zones. And this map shows the walkways that will be available to go around this construction zone. What you see here is phase 1 that will go from August through November of 2025. Once we finish this portion of this work, next slide, please, we will move on and actually back that construction fence up to allow more of those walkways. And by the way, the blue lines represent ADA compliant walkways. Those are walkways that have less than a 5% slope. So able-bodied and people that may be in wheelchairs can use those safely. The dotted lines, little blue dotted lines, are about 5 to 8% slope, where motorized wheelchairs can easily traverse the vertical rise. That portion will be finished in February. We will stop construction until the end of exams, at which time we will start the new AMR construction. The second spot on the map, the O'Connor Rec Center, there's also an infrastructure service line connecting the White Athletic Facility with the North Central plant. We are going to do everything we can to limit the construction and the disturbance to after hours, so that the O'Connor Rec Center open days and in the evenings for student activities. Once it closes, we'll do the work in the evening. Again, we'll try our best to minimize any impact on student activity with this project. Next. We do have a wayfinding app. Again, here is a QR code that will be distributed that'll lead you to how to get to that app that is updated very regularly to show people how to get around the construction activity on the campus. Next. And I can't leave without mentioning one project. Your students will be the first students at Johns Hopkins University to have a new student center. In the 150 years that Johns Hopkins University has existed, we've never had a building like this. We've never had a student center. This is quite spectacular. Hope you get a chance to walk by while you're here. This building, designed by Bjarke Ingels, a world-renowned architect, is a real statement on Hopkins' commitment to sustainability, LEED Platinum. There are enough photovoltaic arrays on the roof of this building to power 50 average-sized houses. The building structure is mass timber. It's all wood construction. Spectacular, nothing like it in the country. So again, hope you have a chance to walk by while you're here on your visit and moving day. And that's our presentation tonight.
Thank you so much, Lee. So great. So we shared a lot of information with you. Wanted to share contact information for particularly on-campus living and for more general questions. So if you have a more housing specific question about, services in the building or how large is the bed or those kinds of things, if you're not able to find things on the website, that housing@jhu.edu would be the email to use. If you have a more general question or something that you're not sure who to ask, you are welcome to ask me, and you can use the Blue Jay Families at jhu.edu, and you will get me, and I will get you to the right people if it's not me. So not to worry. All right, so I'm looking at the chat, and we are busy responding to some folks directly, but a couple themes that I'm seeing that I'm thinking maybe we could answer. A few folks asking about kind of the difference between the move-in experience, particularly on the 13th and the 17th. And there could be, if you are the parent of an athlete who's moving in on the 14th, there are some students who are also in that category. I can answer that briefly. So the athletics on the 14th is really, that happens in the athletics area. I will be there during that move-in, so please stop by and I will greet you on that particular day. On the 13th and 17th, really the process is all the same. So everybody's picking up their keys at Mason Hall. Just pay attention to your assigned time frame. You will go to the hall, and then I will be out on freshman quad. So families, you are welcome on both days to come out, and we will have very similar engagement opportunities for you and the same information, and would love to see you on whichever day you're moving in. All right. I am looking at our questions.
I can jump in and answer a few that I'm seeing some trends on. So I'm seeing a handful of questions about bed lofting. So we do not do bed lofting until after move-in day. So our facilities teams are getting the residence halls ready. We have just finished up conferences, and they are working very hard to get those rooms ready for move-in. So if you would like to have your bed lofted, if your student would like to have their bed lofted, that's great. We can do that. We do all bed lofts after move-in day, generally either a blank spot during orientation week or the next week. So understand that this is a little bit hard for move-in day because you can't totally get the room ready, but just know that the way that we do it is that we basically assign a couple of times for the buildings where a student can just walk downstairs, and a facilities team will be available to loft the beds kind of on the spot. So that means that move-in day, we cannot loft beds. Facilities is running around on move-in day to make sure that everything is kind of running smoothly. But just keep that in mind that can happen within the first week. Let's see. Oh, the other thing is that there was a typo. So the students can have packages starting to arrive on the 11th. So I mentioned the 12th, but it is the 11th that students can have packages arrive. They will sit in the mailroom. So there were a couple questions about addresses. That information is specific to your student's building location. So you can check on the website specifically. You can look at our residence halls, pick your student's building, and it will tell you exactly what the address is. We no longer utilize a real mailbox service. Mostly things that are coming are packages at this point. So those just kind of sit in our mail rooms, and then students get a text, an email saying your package is ready, and they can go down and pick them up. Okay.
I can take a question real quick while you're looking, Lindy. So there were some questions about the family orientation schedule, and someone asked about an event called Pies After the Goodbyes. So on the 13th, for those who are here for pre-orientation, when you go to family orientation, there's going to be a pre-orientation dinner that will be available to both you and your student. That will happen immediately following. And that dinner is at 5:30. Family orientation is at 4:30. For everyone who's moving out on the 17th, you will go to your family orientation at 6:30 p.m. And then at 7:30, we have an event directly outside of Shriver Hall where we hold it called Pie After the Goodbye. And we will literally have whoopie pies for you at that event, and it will be kind of your final opportunity to kind of meet one another before you leave campus. At that point in time, though, your student will already be engaged in their orientation process. So what I would recommend is if you're doing your farewell, that you do that before you go to family orientation on that day. All right, Lynn, do you have another one?
Yeah, I'm trying to go through. Okay, so there's some questions about storage, so specifically luggage and equipment. So we do have trunk rooms available for students to store specifically luggage. You could store other equipment there. There's one specifically about hockey or sports equipment, but that is, we are not responsible for things kind of going. So most students will just put big boxes there for like their TV or luggage that they can acquire throughout the year. They would just need to ask their RA or their hall director for the trunk room key, and they can just go down and place their items in the trunk room. The micro fridge information, I will put that in the chat. It's called My Fridge Rental, but they actually just changed their name. So I think it's called Breeze now. I will drop that in the chat, or yeah, I think I can do that. So that you can order the micro fridge if you're interested. The micro fridge is really only going to be necessary for students that are living in the AMRs. So there's a couple questions about what the suites have. The suites in McCoy and Woolman have a refrigerator, a stovetop, and cabinets. So it does not include a microwave, but in that situation, it's probably best just to bring a microwave if your student wants one of those, because there is a full fridge in those spaces. All of the residence halls do have common rooms that have a microwave available. So it is not necessary to have a microwave, but absolutely understand that that is a common thing that students like having in their room. There's a question about the QR code that's needed for check-in. That has not been sent out yet. That's going to be available when we confirm move-in times on Monday, the 11th. So you're not missing anything yet. That information has not gone out. Let's see, John, do you have any others that you're seeing?
Yes. Hold on. I'm sorry, I just flagged something to answer live here. These are all great questions. Hold on, I lost it. Here we go. Someone asked about, can a student finish moving in before the family comes to the welcome tent? Absolutely. Our welcome stations are going to be set up on Decker Quad as well, or outside of Mason Hall, as well as on the freshman quad, the entirety of the move-in. So on the 17th, whether you move in at 8 a.m. or 5 p.m., we're going to be there during that time. And so please feel free to get things set up and settled, and then come out to the welcome tent when you are able and ready. You have another one, Lindy?
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm going through to be like, okay, where can we answer?
Okay.
Okay, so There's a question about bringing bedding, pillows, and blankets. Yes. So what we provide in the rooms are your twin XL bed, it's a closet or a kind of armoire, a desk, and a chair. So all other things are the student's responsibility. There's a question about lofting beds on your own. Please do not do that. Our beds are very specific. We have lofting tools. Our facilities team knows how to do it. So I understand the desire to do that, most certainly. But we do not want to end up having to charge you at the end of the year because your bed is broken. So please wait for us to loft the beds for you.
I can jump in with one. So,
Cool.
couple folks asking about arrival times, particularly for your move-in time, or can the family explore Baltimore, prior to the move-in day? So let me start with the move-in time. Part of the purpose of a move-in time is that it helps to actually make it smoother for you, because on-campus living has worked hard to make sure that numbers are spaced in a way that it's going to minimize the wait time for you and the ability to really give you good service. So we know you're not actually going to arrive right on the minute, but we would ask for you to really pay attention to that. And if you're here a little bit early, maybe delay your arrival onto campus a little bit. So we appreciate that. And hopefully what that does is helps you and helps other families who are also trying to get moved in on those days. And then secondly, with the family in Baltimore, yeah, I mean, this is a great opportunity. So if you're staying locally, after your student moves in, you can take an opportunity to do some things in Baltimore. We'll have some restaurant recommendations, some things to do. And so we encourage you to explore Baltimore while you're here.
I am seeing a lot of questions about support on move-in day for the 13th. I do not know. I have only been at Hopkins for a little bit over a year, so I actually have a text out to my team asking that question, but I have not received a response. So I don't want to give you the wrong answer. We will make sure that that information gets out to students that it impacts, whether that will be provided or not. We always have bins available. We always have kind of moving supplies. I do not know if we have moving services, so I do not want to give you the wrong information, but I do see that coming up quite a bit in questions. I will say that PREO, that move-in is also at Mason Hall. So you're still going to pick up your keys at Mason Hall. That process looks very, very similar to the one on the 17th. I just don't know if we have moving assistance. For the other early arrivals, so specifically athletes and students coming on the some student athletes, that those key pickups are at the Student Rec Center. So it's a slightly different process, and students should have received information from their coaches already about what that process looks like. There are a couple questions about dropping off things during orientation week and access to rooms. So we will officially go into our guest policy after your student moves in, which means that students need to escort their guests. So we understand that things happen. Sometimes you need to do a little drop off, but your students are going to be very busy starting the 17th. So as John has mentioned a couple of times, don't plan on getting to spend a lot of time connecting with your student, catching up. We understand that things happen. Sometimes things need to get dropped off. Those are things that can either be left at the front desk. We can coordinate things, but it really is best to have as much as you can done after on the 17th. There's some questions about just carts and dollies and transporting items. So whether it's a large item from the post office or getting things from cars. So the 17th, we do absolutely have movers. After that, we always have bins available. So it's kind of a big bin on wheels that you can check out for a period of time to get the things that you need and get them to your room. Okay. There's a question about lots of packages and tips on sending and collecting packages, making it easier. We get a lot of packages. I think last year the number was not specifically just during move-in day, but for the entire year we had a little over 100,000 packages that we kind of procured. Mail services falls under on-campus living. So we are very familiar with packages. We have all kinds of kind of satellite areas during August because we know that we are prepared for an abundance of packages. So our mail services team is excellent at kind of making sure things are organized, knowing where things are. So it's really just paying attention to the hours and having a little bit of patience when you're standing in line because we know that it's really busy. But I don't know that I have any kind of tips as much as we are prepared. We know how many packages we're about to receive. So that team is well versed in how to make that a smooth process for everyone. It is important to note that our move-in day is over the weekend. So sometimes with mail delivery, students will receive an email. Students do get that information, but part of the processing is that it has to not only be processed from the service carrier, but also our mail services team. So it's possible that a student might see that something has been delivered, but it hasn't necessarily been processed yet. So it's important that students wait until they get the email from the mail centers, because that's when the packages are ready to pick up. What does slow down the process are students going and asking for packages that might very well be there, but because we get an influx, they haven't been processed yet. They do extend their hours during August because we are aware that we're getting a lot of packages. We're aware that students want them. We're aware that students want them on move-in day. But depending on when you're sending those packages, there could be a slight delay.
Andy, there's a few questions about kind of bed height and storage underneath, mattress size. Is any of that available to families on the website, or what would be the best way to find that info?
Yeah, so all the beds are twin XL. And I think there's a question about the protection coating. They are, it is a protection resistant coating. It's like a plastic that is kind of, it's like bed bug free, all the kind of like the natural element free to protect the mattresses. One thing to consider is a mattress topper. And so if students have a hard time sleeping, mattress toppers are great. If that is of interest. Regarding the height, it kind of depends. So the bed height can be adjusted, and then there's the lofting. So there's two elements to the bed. One is the bed height. So some students will choose to have their bed just heightened, and some will choose to have it lofted, which is a more significant, it turns it into more of like a bunk bed. The spaces are set up that if you have it just kind of heightened a little bit, you can easily fit large bins underneath. I don't have an exact height because it is a little bit contingent on what a student chooses, because there are various heights that you can have. But all of them are a height that you could easily put those like plastic shelving storage bins underneath the bed. Okay. I always say that I feel very popular in August, and you're making me feel very popular, so thank you.
Lindy, can
yes.
you remind me about the moving support, the movers that are hired? Are they available? Which of the move-ins, like 13th, 14th, and 17th, are they available?
Yes, so they are absolutely available the 17th. I am checking about Prio. I don't know. I have a text out to see if they're available. Let's see if I have a response yet. I do not have a response yet. For the athletes, they are not available. Athletic teams will oftentimes volunteer and help out, but those days, unfortunately, we do not have moving assistance. There will be bins available to try to make the process a little bit easier, but there is not the movers that we have on the 17th. Part of the reason that we have the movers is because we're trying to get the process done really quickly. And so I totally understand that kind of changes the experience, but it's about speed kind of more than anything, because we want to make sure that we are providing a smooth process so that people can really spend time in their rooms. Lots of questions about, can I stay with my student? Can I help them unpack? And the answer is like a resounding yes. We want to get you into your room as quickly as possible because we want you to help do that. I still remember that my mom made my bed on my move-in day. And so we want to make sure that you're able to do that and make sure that you're leaving feeling kind of that like respite, right? We want your student to walk into their room and have that sigh of relief of like, this is my room. This is where I'm living. And we want to make sure that you're leaving also feeling kind of that respite for your student as you drive away from campus. I'm gonna, oh, go ahead. I want to find the fridge rental website. So I'm gonna,
okay.
if you have anything that you can answer.
You bet, you bet. So, folks are asking a little bit about availability of your student after they start orientation, if you're trying to drop something off, those kinds of things. They will have their orientation schedule, which they will have some breaks, but in general, they will be busy most of the day. I would just coordinate with them based on what their schedule is. I'd ask you not to pull them out of things as they should be attending, but we also are not trying to make them go from morning to night without any kind of breaks. And so if you're trying to arrange a drop off, talk with them about when they have a gap in their schedule and arrange that. These are all great questions. There's a question about, is there orientation for parents during the week of the 17th? In essence, really the family orientation session that I talked about is the family orientation. If you have follow-up questions, you're welcome to reach out to us. For those who have attended previous webinars, we've covered a variety of topics throughout summer. Those remain on our webpage and are available to you. So if you want to see a slide deck or see the recording, all of these are recorded and available to you. And so I encourage you, if you missed one or you want to learn more about a particular topic, you are welcome to review those.
Okay, I want to make sure that I can get through some questions in the last 5 minutes, and I can't find the link for the micro fridge right now. It is in some of your students the emails that they have received from housing. I know that it is linked in their room assignment email, and I believe it's probably also linked in the move-in time. I will make sure that that's linked again on Monday so that is available, but I don't want to spend my time continuing to search because I want to get through these. There's some questions about packages being delivered on the 17th. Please make sure, if you know that you are shipping most of your students' belongings, that they are, really try to get them here, as close to the 11th or 12th. That way we know they're here. So it is not a fun experience to have your items shipped and then not be able to get them. And so, like I said before, we do get a ton of packages, and we know a lot of students do send most of their belongings. And so kind of trying to meet that 11th, 12th, 13th mark so that we know things are processed and ready to go on the 17th is going to be in your best interests. There's some questions about kind of how to adhere things to the wall. So command hooks are great. Those are generally what we would recommend, because not everyone takes command hooks off the wall properly, but if you do it properly, it actually does not leave a mark. So command hooks are a good idea. We really don't want students nailing things into the walls, but command hooks are great. And they also have very fancy ones now that you can have quite a hefty weight limit and still get things on the wall. Okay. Students are allowed to bring regular table lamps. Yes. So the lamps on the thing is mostly kind of the halogen lamps and light bulbs, but you're absolutely allowed to bring a desk lamp. Okay, so for the fridge rental, which I will make sure is linked in the next email, and it is currently in your students' inbox. Generally, students with roommates will split one, and they'll just kind of discuss splitting the cost of one. You can technically have two, but there's not really a reason to have two microwaves in a room. So unless there is a real need for more refrigerator space, we do have rooms that have two of them. It just takes up more space in the room. So it really becomes a question of, do you want to use your space to have two refrigerators, or do you want to utilize your space to have maybe one of those and know you have room for something else? But students will generally split the cost of those. John, there's a couple of questions about where to find the webinar after.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So Emily, do you mind dropping in our Hop on Board link, please? So yes, good question. So there's a question about whether this is recorded, and yes, it is, and it will be available by the end of the business day on Friday. Emily's going to drop in a link for the Hop on Board webinar series. You will find all of them, including this one, and anything that is upcoming. We're down to our last one, which is tomorrow night. You can register for, and anything that already happened. You can find the slide deck as well as the live recording to watch and listen to.
Okay, I know we're nearly out of time. I'm looking to see if there's any others that. So there's a couple questions about what students who are involved in pre-orientation or other early move-ins, what they do on the 17th. So that is really contingent on the PREO program. So most PREO programs have some type of programming or coaches have things planned. And if not, I always say it's a good time to walk around. Students will have lived in the halls for a couple days by themselves and suddenly get to meet all of their new hall and floor and suite mates. So generally there is something planned, and if not, it's a great opportunity for students to walk around, take advantage of the resources that are available, and kind of experience another move-in experience.
Awesome. Maybe is there one more burning one that you want to try to answer, Lindy, and then I'll get us wrapped up?
Oh, let's see. There's so many. Packages. Okay, we've answered a lot of these. I don't think so. I think I'm gonna just use my last moment before I pass it off to you, John, to say, I've mentioned this a couple of times. This is a really exciting time. And we also know this is a really nerve-wracking time. And it's move-in day is one of my very favorite days of the year because the opportunities to experience the dissonance of kind of joy and sadness is something that we don't get a lot in our life. So I just encourage you all to take it all in. You have email addresses for questions. We want to make sure that you're coming to move-in day feeling prepared, feeling like your questions are answered. So you just get to sit in the moment and enjoy the experience. So thank you so much for all of your questions. Please email housing@jhu.edu if you have more. Like I said, it's very important. It's really important to me that students come into their room and have that sense of respite, have that sense of like, and that also translates to their families and making sure that you can come to campus and know that we are prepared for your student and that you feel like you've come prepared. So yeah, enjoy the next couple of weeks that you have with your student. We're excited to welcome some of you starting next week. And yeah, welcome to Johns Hopkins. I'll pass it off to you, John.
All right, great. Thank you, Lindy. And thank you to all the panelists, Lee Coyle, Lindy Bobbitt, Emily Villalpando. Thank you so much for being here and answering questions. And also for families, we appreciate you being here. We can tell this was of high interest. We had great attendance this evening. Reminder, the recording will be available as well as the slide deck at the end of the day on Friday. A final note before you leave, your student is required to attend orientation, as I mentioned. Classes, start on Monday, August 25th. Again, as folks were asking about connecting with your student, if you're local or if you're going to be in town for a period of time, just please coordinate that around any scheduled breaks they have with orientation. And if you stay in Baltimore, please feel free to explore, and we hope that you enjoy the city in which we are located and as part of our community. And so lastly, our final summer Hop on Board series webinar is tomorrow. Some of you may not be as aware of it. It is focused on our FLY families, which are our first generation and limited income families. Folks are welcome to attend. That happens at 7 p.m. tomorrow night. And then, as you all know, next Wednesday is the 13th, when our pre-orientation students begin coming in, and then followed by athletics, and then finally our big day on the 17th. Lindy and I will look at these questions. We know we didn't get to everything that folks asked, but there are a number of things that are on your mind. So for things that are commonalities, I will be pushing out a follow-up newsletter pretty quickly that will I will include information that's relevant to some of those common questions. And again, looking at our contact, you're welcome to reach out to us with further things. So thank you so much for your attendance. We are so delighted you and your student are becoming a part of the Blue Jay family. We look forward to seeing you. If you can't be on campus during move-in, that's okay too. Please continue to engage with us on the portal. You have the opportunity for family weekend in late September. And again, welcome to the family. We will see you soon. Take care, everyone.